Now, we did get a question while that was going on. Ronnie wanted to know if we knew he was here. Yes, Ronnie, after you posted that question, I knew you were here. But before that, no, I didn't. We can only know if somebody's watching is if they ask a question or if they make a comment or if they applaud or something to let us know the...
Are you hearing all this noise in the background?
A little bit. Don't worry about it. All right, so Ronnie, if in a second, we're going to take a break here real quick. And in a second, if you want to come join us, Chandra's going to put up the link at both the Google site and at the YouTube site on how to get in here. And if anyone else wants to come join us, that's fine too. And if we get too many people in here, we'll kick somebody out.
Yes.
But our after fellowship sessions can be really interesting. It can go any place from whose birthday it is to some great, huge spiritual principle. It's just wherever it ends up going, it goes. So,
yes, I have posted the Green Room after party link on the YouTube, in the event, on the thingy that I shared, and on the Living Truth Fellowship page, on the Monday Night Hangout page. Yeah, I posted it in all those places.
In all those places. Okay, well, if anybody wants to come join us, feel free.
Got a whole lot of sneezing going on here.
I know.
So we'll give them a couple minutes, and then we'll get into our after fellowship. For full sharing.
Oh, it was Elijah who was being fed by the Shunammite woman. I think it was the Shunammite woman.
Yeah.
Yes.
And her son died, and he healed him and prayed for him, and he sneezed 7 times.
Yes.
So,
Right.
so Lewis, you're alive. Yeah.
Yes. A lot of people say it's your closest place to death when you sneeze because your heart stops for a beat. Well, actually, it's a sign you're alive from the Bible.
Absolutely.
That's where they got the term.
I don't know if my heart was stopping, but
Where they got the term "God bless you."
Yeah.
Yeah. How come I didn't hear anybody saying "God bless me" after I was sneezing? I feel
bless
sad.
you.
Lord, God bless you.
We're all muted.
Wow, thanks for
All right.
covering me, Michael, because the last 15 minutes there, boy, it was oozy and sneezing and everything else.
Yeah. Well,
Welcome, sir. Anytime. That's what we're here for. That's what the body's supposed to do.
the body works
And
together.
you only grabbed one scripture that I was going to use, so there.
I love this new thing that Donald's doing lately with his signs.
I love this song.
Yeah, we got the sign man down there. God bless you.
Yeah. All right. I wanted to bring up one thing from the teaching. It always impresses me. Peter, on the day of Pentecost, he has no idea of what just happened. He has
Right?
no idea what's going on, and yet he stands up and preaches one of the greatest sermons in the Bible.
Unbelievable. Especially, I mean, there's teachings out there that express this, but especially considering where he was just 50 days before that, hiding and scared, and then he stands up in the temple area and makes that sermon. It's totally awesome.
Yeah. Hey, Ronnie.
Yeah,
good
it
to
is
see
cool.
you. We've been joined, folks, by Ronnie.
Hey, Ronnie.
Yeah, we got a sign for you, Ron. Bye,
Yay!
Ron.
He typed bless. I love the little speech bubble.
Yeah, I think he if this is the person I'm thinking of, he has a problem with the microphone, so he just types.
Cool. Cool.
Well, we're glad to have you, Ronnie. You're only the second person who's ever come into one of these who's had the courage to do it. So, has anybody else got anything they want to bring up, say, complain about?
Please.
Is Rennie? Did I say that right? Is he or she in the green room yet?
Who?
With the question?
Ron.
Yeah, it was Ronnie.
Oh, it was Ron. Oh, okay. So he's here.
He's here. He joined
All
us.
right. So what's his question? Let's do that.
What?
He ain't a skier.
Oh, he asked, do you think I'm here? Can you tell I'm here? That was his question.
Oh, that was his question? I thought he had a question
Yes.
about the teaching.
No, can you tell I'm here? No, Louis just joined us again.
Yeah, it's dropped me out twice now.
But you probably gave your computer a cold.
Yeah,
Gave it a
I
virus.
got that Power of Pentecostal sneeze, I guess.
The heavy, as of a
It's
heavy,
holy smoking.
We'll be reading Acts 2,
Blow
4,
it down.
as of a heavy sneezing.
Yes.
Yeah. That sounds like something from the Monty Python. When thou shalt hear the heavy sneezing, thou shalt not blow thy nose unless thou hast a...
And it filled the sound from heaven, and it filled all the house where Lewis was with sounds like heavy sneezing.
Thank you, Ron.
I agree with you, Ron. I like
Louis.
Oh, boy.
and
That's
let me tell you
thing.
something.
It's an amazing tool when it comes to the Word. It's just, man, I just thank God every moment for the time we live in where we have that available to us.
What's that, sneezing?
No, Ronnie had mentioned he likes when the interlinear is used in teachings so that you
Oh.
can see the Greek and the English side
Yeah.
by side. And
Yeah.
that is just an amazing thing to read through because, boy, sometimes you can just read the interlinear and the way it's put together and have a greater understanding of the subject matter and the context. Oh,
Yep.
man. Okay, just that brings up things like, you talk about people like Bullinger and the work he did and what he had to work with compared to what we have today. I can't imagine the Dark Ages either. Holy cow. I mean, where knowledge was so sparse and even the idea of reading and writing was so sparse.
And there were no Bibles. There were no Bibles before the Gutenberg invented the printing press.
Right.
Yeah, and even then, they weren't being mass-produced. They were just being a few of them done at a time, and then
Floating around here and there, and not everybody had manuscripts and that kind of thing.
Yeah, chained to the pulpit. Chained to the pulpit. Exactly. You didn't have money or influence, you didn't have one. Good points. Good points.
and then King Henry VIII went and screwed everything up and put Bibles in churches, and people actually started reading them.
Wow.
And that's where the Puritans came from.
Amazing history.
All about this. This all happened about the same time that Martin Luther
Yeah,
started questioning what he was reading and what he was being taught. Just asking questions, and then
yeah, and
he had access to the scriptures, and about that same time, all kinds of things happened. Gutenberg invented the printing press. no, I mean, that was not a coincidence. And then they started printing Bibles. They've been printing Bibles longer. They've been almost longer than they've been printing.
Right? That's a cool analogy.
No wonder it's the biggest seller.
Best seller of all time.
Is it? And just the little things that you read at the beginning of your Bible about things like why a certain word is in italics. I mean, that's huge.
Really?
Yeah.
These like there's so many different things I've noticed, and every single time any one of you teach something, I notice this. Like I notice you guys giving your tips like that. Like you know, you mentioned, hey, and I know anybody who teaches really in Living Truth Fellowship will mention these little tips about the italicized words, you know, and like, oh, you can go here and you'll figure this out. You'll know what this means, right? These are these tiny little golden nuggets that, you know, maybe we're used to hearing and maybe we know, but it's like, I think it's like, wow, I think just that could be a tiny little video in itself. And then just, can you imagine, I mean, to be able to share this with everybody, just that one little tip, it would be so interesting to see, did you actually know this? You know, like, did you actually know that, you know, this is what the italics mean? And then it would be really interesting to see a lot of people go, actually, I didn't know that, thank you. You know, actually, I didn't know that, thank you for that, you know, thank you for sharing that. Like the Bible Tools video that we did, you know?
Yeah,
Ronnie,
that was awesome.
Ronnie's comment, teaching within a teaching.
Yeah.
That's a very point, because sometimes that's why I'll go back to teachings that John Lynn did 20 years ago that were in the S&T thing, and I'll hear things I never noticed before, and I think, oh crap, I listened to that teaching 10 times and I never saw it. But that's Christ at work, just feeding your heart what you need and what you're willing to accept for that moment. That word's been on my mind a lot this week. The word atonement, that one moment thing, and yeah, yeah, exactly. And you just keep going back through these things over and over again. Jiminy Christmas, I've taken that I gave myself during these fellowships at the beginning of the year. And I said, oh crap, I can't even believe it. Because it was like, wow, those words come out of my mouth. That was so cool. That's Christ. And it goes for everything we do that truly hear it. Because we all have that ability to manifest that. Christ has the ability to work with the believer to open their eyes so they can see.
I can't, oh, I'm sorry, Don. Wait, okay, Michael, can you say that again? Because I couldn't hear you.
No.
The last sentence, just the last sentence.
You're making me laugh so hard. I don't remember what the last sentence was. It's so cool that we all have the ability with Christ in us to speak the appropriate thing so that Christ can work within the people hearing when they're ready to receive and see that thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There you go.
If Ron said, wait, screen turn, wait, Hail Mary, Mother of God moment, huh?
Yeah, right?
Screen turning into a strobe light.
Flashing.
Who's screen turning to?
It's a sign.
My dog is snoring. My new dog. My new dog is snoring. That dog is my dog, by the way.
It's teaching within the teaching stuff. It's kind of like going fishing, and instead of talking about there's this kind of fish and that kind of fish, and these fish are bigger than these fish, and then we're showing them how to bait the hook. This is how you do it. You put this here like this, and you do this, and you tie your string like this, and so that they can do it themselves later.
Yes. Yes. That's something Chandra pointed out too. She likes the way we throw things out. Well, when you got 40 plus years times 1, 2, 3, 4 people here, that's last time. That's 160 years of us learning and listening to this stuff. God, I could teach a monkey to do this. And sometimes I think, wow, God did teach a monkey to do this. I'm living proof.
Oh, God. But yeah, just I don't know, like that. As I mean, I watch this teaching and or any of your guys' teaching. It's like they're so great, and yet I'm just like, and I know that we're trying to like cut them down, you know, to shorter pieces and whatnot. But I mean, I just get, you know, each one of us can get inspired and see certain things as we listen and all that. And I'm just saying, like, I just get incredibly inspired whenever I watch or listen to your guys' teaching, because it's just so packed full of good nuggets. But you guys kind of like put them all into the, you know, I mean, okay, if you were to teach it all at once, obviously it would be like way longer, right? And so you try to cut it down to like what, 30-minute, like a 30-minute teaching. And even within this 30-minute teaching, it's like, wow, there's like so many. I mean, like, you could have just made this into like at least a 5-minute teaching. Like, I mean, like 5-minute teachings, but then that would be like, that would look really, that would be a lot of 5-minute teachings. If you
Ron, listen to me for a minute. If you hit the icons at the bottom of the screen, you have control over which person's picture shows up to you, so that it won't strobe around from person to person to person. Because if you don't have anything clicked, it's going to go to wherever the prominent sound's coming from. But if you click, for instance, on Chandra, you're going to lock Chandra's picture in up there for you, so that you won't get dizzy. Sorry, but that's one of the things. But as far as this teaching thing goes, too, just to build on it, Chandra, somebody told me once, the word of life is a lifelong project. In other words, God put His word out there for us to grow in for whatever our lifetime is. That's what His intent is for us. And that's it goes a lot into progressive revelation, which I'm deep in study in the book of Acts on. But this progressive revelation, each one of us goes through it. But after, when a person is faithful and stays committed in the Word, as every person I have in front of me has, I could say, is a faithful person to God's Word, that Word starts becoming part of your life the more you're in it, in a progressive way. So older people may appear to be more whatever, I don't know, but they're not. They've just learned to read this stuff over and over and over and over and over again, and stay so focused, just as any person in any profession would be. When your profession becomes the Word of God, you get professional at it. And it's not that, and I think that we haughty elders and ministers and stuff up, because especially with younger people, because they see, wow, I want to be. I mean, I remember the person that ministered me the truth of God's Word to me back in 1980. Man, I saw his Bible and all these notes in there and all this highlighting and all these words and how much he knew, and I thought, this guy is like a god. I mean, so wow, how powerful. and his knowledge, but he'd been doing it for 30 years. He's been in the Word for 30 years, but a young mind will do that. And I think it's important, all of us here, including Chandra, that we remember that young people will do that and not let them do it. Don't let them do it. You have the same abilities. Encourage them, direct them to the Word and to the Lord to keep them away from this person idol thing that comes up. I think it's a thing that has hurt many, many ministries and groups of people because it's too easy to let that thing go. That makes sense?
Yeah. And well, okay, well then what do you think of this? Like, so, I mean, and then me, you know, I'm still learning. I'm still, you know, I haven't been studying as long as you guys and whatnot. So it's like, I mean, for me, or at least maybe this is the tip to other people out there who are like new and whatnot. Or I don't know. I mean, I don't know what level I would consider myself to be, but it's like I'm not brand new, but you know, whatever level I'm at, it's like I love to listen to these advanced, meaty teachings, okay? And then, and for me, it may not be as hard to understand, or it may not be as overwhelming to me as to maybe another person. But at the same time, it doesn't mean I'm like, it's not soaking all in for me either, right? It's like still a tad bit, you know, overwhelming. And so, but what's fun for me to do when I can do it, I wish I could always do this, but it's like I love to take meaty teachings like this and break them up just for myself, even, like just for my own benefit. But while I'm at it, right? I mean, and I'm sure Lewis can identify with this. It's like, hey, while I'm at it, just, hey, might as well make something of it and then share it with other people who might, you know, they'll soak this up easier also, right? Like not just me and not just keeping it all to myself. I might as well give it to other people out there that are like me who would really like it, and then the other advanced, not like they're gods or anything like that, but the other people who, you know, they're not snobby about it. They already know it, but they're not snobby about it. But it's like there's a joy in seeing something and sharing something that you know will reach the people who you've been trying to reach for a long time. And yet, you know, here's this little simple thing that you know they'll be able to grasp really easily. And I don't know. It's just, to me, I feel like it's, that's what I get inspired with when I watch these meaty teachings. It's almost like you walk into a room with a whole bunch of gold coins. It's like, look at all the coins. Like each coin is like a little nugget of a teaching I could throw to somebody, like, you know, oh, here, you know, or a piece of candy, like, take this one, take this one, take this one. And I don't know, that's what I see. That's what my eyes see when I listen to these meaty teachings.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
There's a lot of layers. Like
Yeah.
In the class, John talks about how in the Bible there's a lot of calculus in there.
Yeah.
And so some things that people ask questions about are in the area of calculus. But if we can give them a layered answer, and that's where some of these things come in, like one layer is italicized words. Another layer is the word Lord being all capitalized versus the word Lord not being all capitalized. Little things like that have different meanings. Punctuation. It's all been added. Verses and chapters, all been added. That's one layer, or one level. That's like basic math. Then
Right.
you then you start building on that and building on that, and eventually, with a firm foundation of solid information, your building can be higher than it would be if you had, well, I believe it's this, and I believe this means that, and this verse means this to me, and I know it means that to you, and I mean that's all nice and stuff, but there's no foundation,
Beautiful illustration, Don. Beautiful.
Yeah. There was a part in okay, and I don't know if you can reassure me for future reference or not that I can. I mean, okay, I know that it is said that we can jump in there and ask questions, but okay, so I don't know if this is considered constructive criticism or a complaint or whatever. I don't know, but or a request.
Only one way to find out.
Yeah, only way to find out. Okay, so here's the thing. There was a part in the teaching, and I was like thoroughly into it. I mean, when you first started and you're getting into the manifestations, the gifts, spiritual gifts, the different translations, and why they like you're getting into all that stuff, and I was really into it. And then but there's a certain point where I'm like, I wanted to ask a question, and I know it's encouraged that we can ask questions. I don't know, but I guess I need to get it into my head that I'm not. It's not like I'm shy to ask questions, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, he's teaching though. I don't want to disturb it. Like I don't want to get you off your game and disturb.
Don't interrupt.
Yeah, I don't want to interrupt, and I don't want to interrupt the flow.
We've always been taught that you don't interrupt somebody when they're talking. It's kind of bad manners. I know what you mean.
I tell you what, that's why I think it's so important that number one, and we spoke about this when we were doing the review of last year a little bit, but number one, when we're doing these things, and the fact that they're going to wind up showing up on the ministry's website, that number one, we do our best to prepare something. It doesn't have to be anything extravagant. I mean, in our fellowship on Tuesday night, I gave a two scripture teaching for 15 minutes that everybody was blown away over the two scriptures for the 15 minutes because of what was taught in it. But I knew I was going to do that. I had those two scriptures, and I knew what I was going to talk about. I had my notes in front of me. And I think it's important, Chandra, and it's also important that you don't feel that way, because the only reason I put PowerPoints together is because I am the most unorganized, goofy person you'll ever meet on the planet, and if I don't have a format to go by, I'll lose it, and I'll lose it without having. So if something comes up, and I think, I can't remember what teaching it was, but there was one teaching where a conversation came up in the middle of the teaching, and it came up, it did several times, and it was you in your unshy way of doing it, but it was so cool because either if I knew we were going to get to that, I said that, or because I knew the PowerPoint, I had it in front of me, or if it was something that I didn't clearly put in the teaching, we talked about it some more, but either way it went, I was able to pick up on my PowerPoint and regain my place for the coherency of the overall teaching. And I think it's very important that we strive to do that in a manner, and I encourage all of us to do that, and everybody does. But when you do a teaching, you got to prepare. I mean, you got to prepare. Now, that doesn't mean Christ doesn't work within you, and you don't exercise that Holy Spirit, because we all do that. We all get that thought, and I want to express that now, and that's available. But it does mean that we have a cohesive ideal of what we're going to do, so that we can present it well. I think it's a good point. But I think that's the reason why we can do what you want to do more of without ruining the teaching.
Hi, Lewis. Are you trying to say hi or ask a question?
I'm being polite. Yeah, I wanted to say, I think it would be cool if we had a code. Okay, because we all have questions. Instead of just saying, "Excuse me," why don't we just go like this? Raise our hand. Oh, can you close the door, please? Sorry.
Well,
Sorry.
sometimes people are in the
Okay,
zone.
I wanted to say.
Mhm.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, yeah. Well, sometimes people are in the zone, like Dawn, for instance. And I mean, no offense at all, Michael. I'm just saying, like because when you're in the middle of a teaching, you're in the flow. You're teaching, and then like Dawn has to get in there and say, hey, we're at the 30-minute mark. You know what I mean? Dawn can't just raise his hand because I don't necessarily think Michael would notice it. So I'm just saying that's probably why that wouldn't work for any one of us. Like if we were teaching, because we're trying to concentrate and, go on our flow of things, so we make sure it's all, going just right. I don't think we're actually concentrating on who's waving at us in the panel necessarily, but I have
what we could do is ring the doorbell.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Ring the doorbell.
Hey, did you ring the doorbell at 30 minutes? Because I didn't hear it.
Yeah, but I was muted and I didn't realize.
Okay, that's cool. I just want to make sure
Well, the doorbell thing, once again, it's like if Michael's in the middle of teaching something, it's like, or anyone is teaching something, I feel so bad, like breaking them up, but okay.
And I'm telling you, I teach 30 people every Thursday night, and part of the exercise for all of us would be to be interrupted and ask questions, because if I just sat up in front of those 30 people for 4 hours every Thursday night and talked to them without letting them interject, it would be a very boring 4 hours for them. But we should strive for that involvement, Chandra, and I think we should not be shy about interrupting, and especially when there's a question. And it would, even if we're weak in that area, it will strengthen us to be on that receiving, be ready to answer always anybody that has a question or the hope that's in you. We're supposed to be that way according to the Word. So I would encourage us not to dwell on roles or anything else. Of course, there's respect and stuff but I would jump in there. I get mesmerized when I see Don or Lewis teaching. I get mesmerized too, to where I'm just so engrossed in the teaching that I'm trying to focus on the teaching, and I don't have many questions that way. But all people aren't that way, and we need to be ready for that. And I think the only way to get ready for that is for us to do it amongst each other first.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I was thinking, here's a solution. Oh. Okay.
The doorbell. Hey, he beat you to the buzzer. If this is just lost, Chandra.
That brings up another problem. Who's ringing the doorbell when you do hear the doorbell? Mm-hmm.
I don't have any sound effects here.
Everybody's going to have their own sound effect.
Well, I got news for you, Don. If you're teaching and I want in on it, I'm going to say, hey, Don, what about this?
I'll say, sit down.
I love it.
Hey, there's nice little moments where every once in a while we get to say a little comment and, whatever. But sometimes there's a moment where you want to ask a question and it's not a perfect, nice pause moment for you to chime in with a question.
Sure.
Anyway, okay, so
some of the best teachings we have on air, Chandra, is when there was questions asked in the middle of the teaching. I've gone back and looked through them. I'm telling you, the best ones we have is when we made them more interactive, even amongst ourselves. I think maybe God isn't getting a lot of people watching us live because we have things to learn yet, and that He'll bring those people when we learn them. And I think that's one of the things. I think we should practice being more interactive, just like you're suggesting. I think it's an excellent idea, and I think there's no good way to go about it except for to go about it. To do it.
At the end of the short one, this is what I keep trying to suggest this. But at the very end of, if it's a 15-minute teaching, 30-minute teaching, whatever it is, at the end of that one, I would suggest having that's the question and answer time for that particular video. Like if it's part 1, here's the question and answer time at the end of this part 1 video. And the reason why
that's a good idea.
That's a great idea.
The reason why I suggest that
is
Great idea.
Great idea.
Why?
Then you've got to remember your questions.
Yeah, you have to write a note to yourself.
Hey, I do it on Sundays teachings. On Sundays teaching, I write. I'm sitting here taking notes. There's nothing. I don't think there's anything.
We
wrong.
just
teachers.
overrode Chandra.
I'm sorry.
Chandra, you have the floor. Go ahead.
That's a talent, though. If you can override Chandra, you've come a long way.
Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. Well, I'm just saying, the reason why I think it would be good to do it at the end of each video is because, and it ties in with one of the reasons why I wouldn't want to interrupt you in the middle of your teaching, is because, say I had a question that you were definitely planning on answering within part 2 or part 3, I think it would not only be a question and answer, fellowship interactive type session, but it would also be kind of like a really cool preview of and anticipation, like, hey, well, yeah, I answer this, and I'm going to be answering that question, so why don't you guys stay tuned, because I'm going to be totally going over that in part 2 or part 3, and then I could go, oh, okay, so, yeah, I'll sit back and listen to that. And it's great to have this at this particular part of the video, not just scattered about the video, because for editing reasons, for Dawn or for me or whatever, it's that way if people wanted to skip to the question and answer session, they can skip to the question and answer session, and it would be in this one block, not just like all over the place. It would just be like, bam, right there. Anyway, there you go. Thank you. I finally got to say it. Yay! I got to say it. I've been trying to say that for a while now. Anyway.
Well, since we're talking about all this stuff, when I'm doing a teaching, sometimes I don't want to be interrupted while I'm teaching because I got trying to hold my mind on my train of thought.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Michael was.
Anybody else like that?
I can understand. I can agree with that.
Huh?
There are times where when I get into a role, I don't want to be stopped because I'm into the role, and it'd be better if you could wait till the end of the teaching, and then I'll gladly answer whatever questions you've got. Chandra, if you got questions, you can always leave them in the comments section on YouTube.
Yeah,
Because I was trying to think, is there any records? Is there any records of someone interrupting Jesus Christ in the middle of what he was teaching?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying we're Jesus Christ, but we take his place to a certain extent.
Yeah.
When we speak the word.
They constantly interrupted him. Not the believers, but the Pharisees. Yeah, the Pharisees. They threw a woman at his feet caught in adultery. Moses said, we stone her. What do you say?
He didn't have any.
Peter interrupted him when he was talking about the suffering. When he started talking about his death, he grabbed him and started reproving him. He interrupted him in the middle of what he was trying to get. So even the believers did it. Yeah.
He was in the middle of a teaching and they lowered a guy down from the ceiling. Talk about an interruption.
Yeah, right. A guy.
Yeah, that's true.
What's this? Okay.
Yeah.
Hello.
So Jesus Christ was just showing us to be prepared for anything.
Yeah.
That brings up another good point. I mean, and working this in my Pentecost thinking, those people were people. Jesus Christ was a man. To the idea that the preacher standing up at the pulpit preaching and nobody interrupts him and nobody has an open communication, there's a time for that. I guess it's called dictating a sermon. But at the same time, that's not the progressive revelation that's given in the Word. We are all members in particular.
Yes, we are all members in particular, but if someone is speaking the Word, man, I think there's some respect that should be shown to them.
Hey, and I agree with the
Not just
part, but at the same
not an
part,
open format question-answer session.
right? And it doesn't have to be that way. But at the same point, it says that if I have a word of prophecy and I'm prophesying, and another person standing by gets another idea, that the first person is to stop speaking and allow the other person to interject. So this is not a dictate. The only head of this body is Jesus Christ. And I think we have to allow the interaction amongst us to fulfill the group. We're all trying to achieve this in our fellowships. We want everybody involved. That's the whole heart of doing that and giving that example of how that can be. I'm telling you, the best teachings we have, or at least presentations we have, are when there has been interaction amongst us. And I think I don't think it all has to happen every Monday night, but I think that it's come up several times, especially from Chandra's heart, and I think it's a relevant thing. Now, this idea of making a question and answer thing at the end of each segment is brilliant. I mean, that's a good, cordial way of bringing both things together to where we don't interrupt necessarily in a confusing manner, but we do make more available for that interaction. I think that was a good bring together.
I think a lot of it too is what's the format that you expect, when you begin. Like if you are expecting to be able to expound the scriptures and then have somebody respond after you're finished, then that's the format. But if the format is more of a two-way conversation, you're going to say something, and then if somebody wants to respond or interject, then it's coming.
Good point, Don. Good point. There's nothing wrong with each one of us saying at the beginning of the teaching, hey, I want this to be interactive. You guys ask questions as we're going, or, hey, hold your questions for the end of the teaching, and we'll discuss.
Yeah, we're not religious around here. We're not religious around here, so it's like this. You're in the middle of some really good sex. Do you like being interrupted?
Oh my gosh!
Hey.
Oh man, that was interesting, Louis.
Well, now, here's the thought. The Word of God is the most intimate act of making love towards someone because it's lasting. It heals, it restores, it refreshes. It's God's love letter towards us in the most intimate way that it could ever be expressed.
If you're going to continue on this example, I just got to say, it's not a one-sided deal when you're dealing with
right. It's not. It's a two-way street.
It's pretty interactive, okay? It's a pretty give-and-take situation in that. But
hey, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Anyway,
I stand corrected. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
All right, moving right along.
Yeah, moving right along. Sorry, it's just very okay. Okay, so let me leave with another kind of suggestion or point or whatever.
What?
With off of what Michael was saying, how you prepare your audience with what kind of interaction this particular teaching is going to be like, whether or not, and but a part of that preparation, I think, would be, hey, there's going to be certain parts in this teaching where I ask you guys, are you guys with me? Are you guys with me so far? Just to make sure you guys are up to speed.
Yeah.
And there'll be multiple areas throughout the teaching. I'll say, hey, are you with me so far? Any questions so far? Or something like that.
No, that just brought me back to high school and college.
Yeah, it's another format. It's just another format,
Like they'll be talking about something, and then they'll give you a quick, instantaneous review, and they'll say, okay, everybody follow along so far, because we're going to move on, and we're going to build on this. I remember math class. We had a bunch of whiz kids in this one class. It was advanced math or something, and there was only like 6 or 7 of us in the class, and the instructor would teach a principle, and then we'd all practice that principle in a sample problem, and then if we all got it, he says, "Did you all get it? You all ready to move on? Here we go." And then we'd move right on to something else. If somebody had a question, they would say, "Well, I'm not sure about this," or "I'm not sure about that." He'd handle it real quick or discuss it some more until everybody was together, and then we'd move on from there. So yeah, that's another good technique. Yes. Thanks for
I don't know. I'm kind of scared to ask Lewis what he's laughing about.
Go ahead. I'm happy. That's why I'm laughing. I'm just happy. I'm joyful. I'm not thinking about anything that might be considered bad by some people and great by other people.
It just caught me off guard. It caught me off guard. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, I want to eat.
Hey,
something.
that's me.
Hey. So I want to
Hey.
get going, you guys. So if you guys want to continue fellowshipping, that's all good, gravy. But I love you.
I feel better, but
Well, I was about to call into it tonight, I think, anyway,
okay.
because certain people around here have to go to work tomorrow, and I mean, I'll be stuck in snow up to my rear end, so it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah. You have no place
Working on
to
a
go.
roof, it's 70-degree weather, so it doesn't matter to me. I mean, it does matter to me because I start at 5. So
Yeah.
I love you
So-
guys very much.
Love you guys. We'll see you next
Hey.
week. Ron,
Love you.
thanks
I love
for
you
joining us.
guys and I love you girls. God bless.
Come on.
God bless you guys. Good night.
Bye. Good night.
Good night.